So here's my seasonal favorites to combat anti-intellectualism for winter December 2025 to February 2026. So starting with December 2025, so I started documenting a list of art, literature, film, music, etc. that I enjoyed in Instagram posts this year. I'm inspired by Rama Duwaji's inspiring lists she posted while her husband was campaigning to win the mayoral election. I do admire how she doesn't feed into the traditional politician's wife trope, which centers his career over her identity. So for this initial favorites video, my list for December is quite short. I mean, I was Charlie XCX's top Spotify listener, which makes sense since her Brat album is 10 out of 10. But my all-time favorite song is track 10. My second place artist was Ethel Cain. Inside Me Are Two Wolves. And my favorite song is Family Tree Intro. I'm also a lifelong avid YouTube watcher. So for a fresh start, I unsubscribed from all the channels I didn't watch. But more importantly, I organized my notifications to ensure I wouldn't miss an upload for my favorite creators. Okay, Lauren Louise at Big Book Lady. I found her channel very early on, 2 years ago, like her 5th video. I love her voyeuristic cinematography style of vlogging, and her style really resonates with me. Very mid-century, thrifty, alternative, oversized button-ups. She reminds me of Mavis if Wes Anderson directed Hotel Transylvania. So, Catherine, or better known as at Nell Furch, I think I've been watching for a year or so. I love watching outdoorsy, crafty creators, but I hate the femme far-right pipeline, so I do have to be pretty vigilant. I love her minimal, natural, but like reused, recycled style. She gives off witch vibes, but not in the Brothers Grimm kind of way, in a Beatrix Potter way. Just a calming, creative energy, and I also really love her sweaters. Lastly, Nessa, or at Nessa111. Again, I'm not too sure when I started watching, but I think around a year or so ago. She's a quirky, whimsical girl living in a city. Her vibe is if Fiona Apple were in a Strawberry Shortcake TV show, but like a teen version, I guess. I just love how her style is so interesting to look at. I also love how she edits her vlogs and her thumbnails. Just for December, I got really into at Nightmare Movies. It's a horror movie commentator who got me back into horror, specifically analog horror. But more importantly, he introduced me to Japanese found footage director Koji Shiraishi, most known for his 2005 film, Noroi the Curse, but I really enjoyed his 2008 anthology of found footage horror films, Yura Horror. So, Yura does mean back, however, Yura can mean more than just back. I found a Substack by Bob Myers called Nihon Goism, and he explains, quote, "It means behind, underneath, inside, reverse, inner, rear. You get the idea. In all these cases, it's also hidden or unknown," unquote. Yura describes the short stories perfectly. Many have no context or no conclusions, and some faces, names, and voices are censored. Also, I couldn't find a free version online with English subtitles, So I was really in the dark. Okay, January 2026. Continuing with another J-horror, Pulse or Cairo, and I did actually find a free version online with English subtitles, so I'm just going to link all the possible links that I have in the description down below if any of you are interested. The movie, released in 2001, is a techno-horror written and directed by Kiyoshi Kurosawa. His cautionary tale shows us that the internet accelerates our isolating tendencies, especially because this was already an issue in Japan since the 1990s. Hikikomori, generally meaning pulling inward or being confined, is a Japanese term to describe a sociological phenomenon in Japan since the 1990s, where reclusive individuals go to extreme measures to isolate and confine themselves. I found the film jarring to think about, just knowing how online we are now. I rewatched Twin Peaks around the anniversary of David Lynch's death, and here's some art I love called Laura by Christopher Culver, made in 2023 with charcoal and pastel on paper. The photography is by Charles Benton, and it's courtesy of The Artist and Chapter New York, New York. An artist I discovered while searching Pinterest and now use a photograph on some of my social media pages, and as the header art for a Substack article of the same name, is Caleb Cole and his Odd One Out series. Made from found antique photographs of family reunions or friends gatherings, unknown groups of people, and in Caleb's own words, quote, I select images of people who, unlike the rest of the smiling faces in the frame, bear looks of loneliness and longing that stop me in my tracks. Removed from their original context and meaning, I then digitally alter these photographs to segregate the one from the many, isolating the person from their surroundings by a field of white. The shape of the crowd is maintained, hinting at details of the group of which the person is a part, but with which they do not feel at home. The negation of the group serves to emphasize the presence of the one, to make visible the person who feels invisible. In constructing these images, I tell the story of the outsider, the odd one, those who are alone in a crowd, unquote. You know when you have this image you've only seen in your own mind? The poem Twice as Many Stars is about a calf, but I always thought, what about a deer? Anyways, I stumbled across this artwork by Tara Strubing, and here they are, a two-headed doe. I found Von Govel's account last year, and their editing style really inspired my own, mostly just using old footage. Their Substack article called The Time Is Now for Real Artists, in particular, is my favorite. But I didn't actually read it at first because Quentin Tarantino is pictured in the header. But I'm happy I finally did, because it's such an encouraging read for anyone who is starting to create, and shows how even creating for an empty audience is worth it in the long run. It echoed my beliefs already, but it was validating to have another more successful creator say them. I learned a new word, and I obviously can't stop using it. The word is cyclical, something characterized as recurring in cycles. So these next favorites all relate to this word. David Foster Wallace, in a 2003 interview for the German television station ZDF, on reading consumerism and American politics. And it's just so haunting how relevant his points are 20 plus years later. It did make me feel a little downtrodden, but led me down a rabbit hole to cyclical theories that try to explain reoccurring historical events that happen numerous times and follow a pattern. So, I mean, that was very interesting and cool. Hilma Af Klint, The Tree of Knowledge, and this one specifically is the first of the W series from 1913, Her artwork fascinates me, and I do need to seek out additional reviews because I often don't understand them. In Painting the Unseen, Daniel Birnbaum and Emma Enderby explain that, quote, logarithmic spirals and tendrils represent evolution, unquote. This reminded me of Annihilation, a film I didn't care for until at NerdyMixPan on TikTok explained why the scariest part isn't the shimmer or the alien, but how, quote, humanity is a part of the natural life cycle of this world, and we are not the main focal point of the universe. Example of evolutionary horror where humans are not the main catalyst, nor are they the main focus of the evolution, just pawns on the chessboard, not the king, unquote. Okay, Outside In is a computer animation produced by the Geometry Center and directed by Silvio Levi, Del Maxwell, and Tamara Munzer, explaining the mathematical discovery of Steve Smale in 1957 and Bill Thurston's corrugations method of turning a sphere inside out without breaking its surface. Am I good at maths? No. Did I pay attention to the entire video and learn something new? Yeah. Yes. Lastly, for January, Silvia Federici's 2004 feminist communist view of capitalism, Caliban and the Witch, Women, the Body, and Primitive Accumulation. I luckily stumbled across a free PDF online, very easily actually, with just one Google search, on the first page of Google as well. So I referenced it constantly in my written/video essay about rebranding, but also because I learnt so much and I do recommend reading it. February 2026. But first, jumping back to January 19th, one of my closest friends, Erin, I've mentioned her enough on here, so I might as well name her. So Erin and I plan to go to a free estate sale to just window shop and hang out. But it turns out we got the dates wrong, so as we sat parked outside a very empty house, we found a nearby thrift store and went there instead. Now, I found like 7 nonfiction books for under 15 Canadian dollars, which I'm still really chuffed about. Both volumes of the What is Cinema, Andre Bazin essays selected and translated by Hugh Gray, an absolute find. I'm still working through them all, but I'm really enjoying them, and I'm learning so much, which is the point. Influencing me to research and write my last video essay, Streaming Killed the Cinematic Industry, where I created my own playlist of absolute cinema, and Ren Rogers' work appears twice. It would be a disservice to call them videos. They are truly short films, just super creative and fun to watch. It's been ages since I watched a movie in a theatre, especially the Bytown Cinema, a local independent one. Oscar-nominated Arco by Hugo Bienvenu is a beautifully animated science fantasy that really reminded me of Studio Ghibli films. I really enjoyed the story too, and I can't remember the last time I saw a film without knowing anything about it. Oh, also, Mark Ruffalo voices a robot, so 10 out of 10, no notes. Thinking about it, I was pretty social this month. Erin and I went to an event hosted by Tipsy Scholars about Victorian morning rituals. The speaker works at the Osgood Township Museum and told us about a Victorian hair wreath made out of 5 different friends' hair, and the hair was DNA tested, that's how we know, which they have at the museum. I would like to note this was one of the only grieving rituals that wasn't monetized. Hosting a funeral has always been expensive. And then describing the size of the wreath, it appeared to be around the size of a small child, so it's huge. The whole talk was super fun. I loved getting tipsy while learning. Continuing with the spooky and occult, I regularly find public domain artwork from the National Gallery of Art. The Bat, a 124-year-old platinum print, fascinates me. The nudity, the witchy aura, the age, pre-World War I, pre-Titanic, the beginning of a new century. And the photographer Gertrude Kerser, excuse my pronunciation, is a woman, an American artist who lived from 1852 to 1934. She would have been 50 years old when taking or publishing this photo. Ancient in Hollywood standards. But still, she created gothic, moody art, and I love that for her. Okay, a little cheeky, but I used Masahiko Minami's artwork, Sympathy, as a background image for my video essay quotes. I do credit him, though, in the YouTube description. Honestly, it was an accident at first, and I'll be finding a new way to show my quotes because the shadow work is so beautiful, and I just kind of feel a little bad. The dappled light looks very peaceful. Two not so peaceful songs I've been listening to are The Depths by Cleopatra and Climbing Up the Walls by Radiohead. The guitar in The Depths scratches my brain so well, and Climbing Up the Walls feels very Red Room coded to me. Rewatching Twin Peaks influenced what music I listen to, and I feel like this song would be playing over a speaker in the Red Room. I actually quoted this Substack, Another Train Will Come by Stars of Her, on an Instagram post, the ones where I list art, books, films, etc. I've enjoyed. So a quick sneak peek at these more in-depth seasonal favourites, and I felt very thought-daughter. Here's that quote. Why do we feel the need to continue living lives we don't want? Lives we're not happy with. Lives we wouldn't choose again, if given the chance. Justifying our choice by telling ourselves the time has already passed, that it's too late. Unquote. This really summed up my 2025 and even 2024. Letting go of security that is doing more harm than good, finally jumping into the deep end of whatever life has to offer. I could talk for a while about this, but I'm going to save those thoughts for another time, another creative endeavor. Because being creative in times of instability is really important. For your own well-being, but also everyone's. This artwork is by an old university friend, Laura Quayle, who I haven't spoken to in years, but I still follow her and many others online. I really love the dandelion's face. She's so pretty and reminds me of a much nicer flower from Wonderland. The optimistic mantra, cultivating whimsy in this capitalist wasteland. How the text color changes when overlapping with the flower's leaves, the color shading. The human-made texture is so comforting. Finally, the last favourite for the winter season of late 2025 to early 2026, Lana Del Rey's newest single, White Feather Hawk Tail Deer, Hunter. Oh, I will be making this song my entire personality for the foreseeable future. Halloween hath come early. I feel like a mischievous skeleton dancing in the woods in some twisted fairy tale. Whoopsie daisy yoo-hoo, scritches a scratch I didn't know I had. Lizzie Grant has resurrected, emerging from the foggy bog. I love it. I love it. It's the poisoned cherry on top for my first favourites list.